For decades, American families have been carrying the weight of a medical schedule that just kept getting heavier, a growing burden of needles that seemed to have no ceiling. But today, that burden finally breaks. We're witnessing a historic, ground-shifting move at the Department of Health that's sending shockwaves through the Beltway. The era of over-vaccination, it ends right now. They're finally stopping the clock on a system that many feel has been running on autopilot for way too long. On January 5th, 2026, a tremor ripped through the medical establishment. The White House just dropped a directive that the experts didn't see coming. But let's be honest, it's exactly what millions of you have been praying for. Under the MAHA initiative, the federal government has officially taken a sledgehammer to the massive childhood immunization schedule. For years, the United States was the ultimate outlier. We were sticking our kids with more injections than almost any other developed nation on the planet. Parents knew the system was broken. They felt it in their gut that pharmaceutical profits were being put ahead of their family's actual wellness. Well, today the mandate is dead. The schedule hasn't just been adjusted, it's been gutted from 72 doses down to just 11 essential protections. And get this, those remaining shots, they're no longer the golden ticket for school entry. They're optional. This is the return to sanity they promised us on the trail. It's a total flip in how we protect the next generation. The days of do what we say and don't ask questions are over. It's been replaced by a new era of medical transparency and finally, parental choice. The evidence wasn't even hidden. It was just sitting there in plain sight while we were told to ignore it. A deep dive by the HHS just exposed a massive disparity that should make every parent's blood boil. While European nations were hitting top-tier health standards with about a dozen injections, our American schedule had ballooned into an overwhelming 72-dose nightmare. This didn't happen overnight. It was a slow, calculated creep that took decades. Critics call it a systemic failure, and they're right. They've been pointing to the explosion of chronic conditions for years and getting ignored. But this administration actually looked at the global data and realized the U.S. was completely out of step with the rest of the civilized world. By finally aligning our schedule with these international benchmarks, the government is moving to neutralize the risks of dumping excessive chemicals into developing bodies. This isn't just about medicine. It's about your rights as a parent and the freedom to decide what's best for your kid's future. The data shows we can keep people safe without the suffocating density of those old mandates. It's a measured, common-sense response to a crisis of trust that has rotted our health institutions for far too long. If you head out into the heartland right now, the energy is absolutely electric. For the people behind the Make America Healthy Again movement, this isn't just a policy change. It's a definitive, total victory. For the first time in an entire generation, parents actually feel like someone in Washington is listening. The medical bureaucracy has finally been forced to answer to the people they're supposed to serve. RFK Jr. is now leading the charge at HHS, and he's made the mission crystal clear. We're going after the root causes of this chronic disease crisis, and this is just the first shot across the bow. You see it all over social media. Families are celebrating this like a breath of fresh air. They're done with the old guard and the more is always better mantra. They want a scientific approach that actually values caution over speed and profit. This is bigger than politics. It's a cultural reclamation of the American home. The administration is betting that by cutting out the lobbyists and handing power back to the kitchen table, we're going to see a healthier, tougher, and more resilient America. Don't get it twisted though. The work is really just getting started. Now that the federal schedule has shifted, the spotlight moves to the states. This is where the real street-to-street battle for school mandates is going to be fought. We're already seeing governors lining up to match their state laws with these new federal guidelines, creating a whole new landscape for education. We're stepping into an era of radical transparency. The government is promising to track the long-term health of this new generation like never before. They want to see, with actual data, if cutting back these shots leads to a drop in chronic illness. It's a massive, real-world test of our priorities. Of course, the opposition is going to scream. There will be people terrified of a return to the past. But this administration isn't flinching. They believe that by focusing on what's truly essential, we can actually start to rebuild the trust that's been lost. It's a massive gamble on the side of freedom and the side of the parent. The whole world is watching to see if this new American path becomes the new global standard. The transformation has started, and there is no turning back now.